Hello, it is nice to see you. In today's video, I am going to be making another dress overcoat. It is going to be similar to the one that I made last week, except this time it's going to be a little bit more intricate. For this overcoat, I want to go a little costumey with it, not completely, but what I am thinking in my mind is something that can work for a circus ringmaster, as well as can work for a leprechaun costume. I'm thinking green and gold, and I have the perfect fabric for this overcoat. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now this is a scrap of the fabric that I'm going to be using today. It was originally a tablecloth that I thrifted at I don't know what thrift store quite some time ago. I got it for $2 or $3, and it is almost the perfect amount of fabric that I'm going to need. Now I have sat on this fabric for quite some time, knowing that I wanted to make something really cool with it, but didn't know for sure what it is that I wanted to do. So I spent some time last night searching on Pinterest, looking at some inspiration photos, and I eventually came up with this drawing. Once I had my general idea and my drawing down, what I did next was I wrapped my dress form in cling wrap again, and I drew on pattern pieces. This is like the #1 way that I create my patterns, because it's just easier for me to go from 3D to 2D instead of 2D to 3D. Once I established what my pattern pieces were going to be, I went upstairs to my table, laid out my fabric, and cut out all of the pieces for the outer layer and the lining layer. Now that everything is cut out, it is time for the assembly process. Now I was hoping for a fuller skirt, but I did not have enough of the fabric that I needed to make the skirt really full. It's unfortunate, but I do still think that it'll turn out okay. So let's get to assembling. The first thing I do is sew in what would be my darts into the front and back pieces, outer fabric and lining. I cut the darts out, so technically they're not exactly darts. Once that's done, I place the front bodice piece to the back bodice piece and sew in place. This is the front placard piece. With right sides together, I sew along the edge and leave a 3-ish inch gap along the side where I can turn this right sides out. Then I sew the collar together along the top and press everything flat. Now I am placing the collars onto the bodice and figure out where everything should sit. Once I figure it out and try it on to make sure, I sew the collars and placard to the outer fabric to hold it in place. Then, with right sides together, I pin and sew the lining to the bodice, leaving the bottom open. I clip the curves and turn it right sides out. Moving on to the skirt, with right sides together, I pin and sew the lining to the outer fabric along the sides and top, leaving the bottom open to turn right sides out. Once sewn and pressed, I pin the top of the skirt to the bottom of the bodice, right sides together, then sew in place. For the sleeves, I pin the bottom of the sleeve to the sleeve cuffs and sew it in place using a top stitch. Once sewn, I sew the sides of the sleeve together along the side. Then I attach the sleeve to the bodice, right sides together, and pin and sew the sleeves to the arm's eye. Finishing the skirt, I fold the fabric in on itself to create my hem and top stitch in place. Alright, for the most part, the overcoat is done. The only thing that I need to figure out now is the closures, which I am going to opt for buttons. Now, I do think that this came together really well. The sleeves are a little bit long, which is totally fine. I'd rather them be long than short. Now, these are the two buttons that I have to choose from. Both of them are a coat of arms. I don't know exactly which one this is, but this one I believe is the Fleur de Lis. I'm probably saying that wrong. This one dates back to medieval times. This one looks like it could be more English. I'm just guessing. I have a whole bucket of these. Now placing them against the green, this one blends in more. It's more muted. This one here pops a little bit more. It's a little more bright, so I think I am going to go with this one. So now what I am going to do is line it all up to where it's as even as possible, and I'm going to pin it in place, and let's hope this holds. Now I do need to keep in mind that this is a coat, so I don't want to make it too tight because I will have clothes on underneath it, which will add to the bulkiness. I only just realized it's very hard to make sure that this is even when looking directly down at it. I have a dress form. I don't know why I'm not using that. I'm going to take my little chalk here, and I am marking the edge on the bottom, and then I am marking the top. Now there is a decent amount of this front panel. I believe it's called a placard. This is what I'm going to have attach to the main part of the coat. And where I want to place my buttons that close this up is going to be hidden behind the collar. So I don't want that to be seen. The buttons that are going to be seen are going to be basically dummy buttons just right here on the placard. So I can go ahead and mark for those. And to make sure that that is going to line up the way I want it on me, because me and my dress form are not exactly the same size, we line up the top and we line up the bottom. That feels right enough. So now it's time to add the buttons. She is officially done, and I have to say, it's not the worst. Should be like a catchphrase that I have on this channel. Now, I do actually really like how this turned out, but I think what I like the most about it is that it is a versatile item. If I were to make this a Costumey piece, I could create an outfit based on a leprechaun, Loki. This could possibly do like a poison ivy thing. I would have to add some ivy and some other elements to the overall outfit to make that come to life. But in this color, the way that I made it, it is versatile. Now, if I were to change the fabric up completely and say did red and gold, this would totally go for a circus ringmaster or a lion tamer. I'm sure that there's many other costumes or outfit ideas that I could come up with based upon just the design. If I were to remake the outfit, and if I made the skirt portion longer to where it almost hit the ground, that's where I think I would definitely get the Loki vibes from. I just think that it turned out really good. Now, something that I noticed that I did do wrong personally whenever making this was during the making process, I kept all of my seam allowances at a 1/4 inch when I should have done a 1/2 inch on all of the sides. And I figured that out because, and let me show you. Now, this is the back of the overcoat. Now, my pattern did not have a seam in the middle of the back. But like I said, because I did my side seams at a 1/4 inch instead of a 1/2 inch, what ended up happening was I had about 1.5 inches, almost 2 inches additional fabric that I did not account for, which made it too big. And also it made the collar, instead of sitting around the neck like it was supposed to, because I had an extra almost 2 inches, it pulled the neckline away from my neck and the collar sat on my shoulders. And I didn't put this in the video, but the way that I figured out how I needed to fix it was to go in the center of the back, pull it in how much I needed to pull it in. And it did end up leaving, obviously, this section of fabric here. I didn't want to cut it. Well, I guess I don't have a reason. I didn't want to cut it in case I guess I needed to pull it back out for whatever reason. And then at the very top here, I just sewed the top parts down so that it wasn't protruding outwards. That's how I fixed my mess up. But it really doesn't look bad. You can't really tell that it was an issue that I had to fix. I am a little bummed though that I did not have enough fabric to do 2 skirt panels. So on mine, this here is only one of the skirt panels. Now I did go ahead and last night I digitized the pattern, and the link will be down below in the description to my Etsy shop for this pattern specifically. And if you do choose to purchase the pattern, you will see that it calls for 2 of the skirt panels. But as you can see with this, the only thing that the 2 skirt panels will do is add fullness, and it doesn't really need it. So you can get away with 1 skirt panel. It's basically a circle skirt. That's really what it is. Now, something that I tried to figure out, and I messed up so I didn't even show it, I added pockets. And adding pockets to a garment, it's a circle skirt, that doesn't already have the pockets sewn into the seams or the seam allowance itself, which normal pockets, that's how you do it. I basically had to cut into the skirt, which is fine because I lined this, so you can't even see the pocket on the inside. But where I messed up was, and I did this on both of the pockets. Come on, focus here. Now, it doesn't look bad, and I don't think that you could actually tell that there was a pocket here, which is good. But whenever I sewed it in, I cut too much space above and below where the pocket was going to go. So I tried to fix that by stitching the top part of it down. I don't even know if you can tell. Where is it? Right here. Right there. Whenever I went to stitch it down, I pushed the pocket to the back. And now the pocket only goes backwards, so my pockets are going to sit going like this on my bum instead of going to the front where they should. It's just one of those things that I wasn't paying attention to, and I messed it up. But it's really not a big deal. This is the kind of garment that you can choose to have pockets or not pockets. If I could do it again, I wouldn't put pockets in it because of the single skirt panel that I used. Now, I really do think that not only the garment itself is versatile. I really think that the pattern can be shifted and changed to add pockets or not have pockets or put pockets on the front part. I feel that this is a easily changeable pattern. I would not, however, categorize this sewing project as a beginner friendly. It would probably be closer to the intermediate level, because jackets and coats and outer layer garments are really hard. They really, really are. I also think that this middle placard part here, you probably don't even need it. That is if you don't want the coat to close all the way. So if I took my middle placard, let's say I tucked it in. Now if I tried really hard to squeeze into it, I probably could. If you wanted to just leave it like this to where it would be like an open jacket, that totally works. Or you could even take an external belt and wrap it around, buckle it here in the front, and that'll keep it closed. So this middle placard piece really isn't 100% necessary unless you're wanting to close it, which is what I did. And these buttons here, the set of 4, these are like dummy buttons. They're just for show. The buttons that actually close the jacket are these 3 smaller ones. And then I sewed underneath the collar, where it's hidden, are my little buttonholes. There's one. I guess I can close it for you so you can actually see. 1, 2, and 3. And then whenever I open the collar back up, boom, they're hidden. Also on my sleeves, I have the same buttons that I used, this elastic hoopy thingy. I don't even know what it's called, elastic string. It's what I used to close. So if I were to rate this dress overcoat as I made it, this garment specifically as it sits, I would give it a 7 out of 10. Probably an 8 out of 10. And I would not give it a 10 out of 10 because, and it's just nitpicking here, because I messed up the pockets. See, here's the pocket. You really can't even tell it's there, which is good. I hid it well, except the pocket goes back. And if I try to move it to the front, because I stitched it down, and I don't know why I did that. Can't see through the lining, so overall it's good. But pockets don't go backwards. And that was a me problem. I tried sewing on pockets while I was angry, and it's a thing I shouldn't do. Problem solve while angry, because the problems don't get solved. And the second thing as to why I'm only giving it a 7 or an 8 out of 10, whenever I did my seams, when I sewed the bodice part together and I used only a 1/4 inch seam all the way around, and I should have done a 1/2 inch seam all the way around, it added extra fabric, and because of that, the collar doesn't sit exactly where it should. Now, whenever I, on the back side, brought it in and did my little back seam thing, I don't know. Whenever I pulled it in the center back and created the dart, the giant dart, let's call it that, I did fix most of the issue for the collar part, but it still doesn't exactly sit where I want it to sit, which is why I grabbed my, I think they're called sweater closure things. I don't know, it's like a brooch. And I mean, it worked well. So I clipped it onto the collar on one side, and I took the other side and I clipped it on the other collar. And I'm gonna move my mic, and then I just shimmy it up a little bit. My voice is going out. What is that? Come on, there. And then it just clips. So now the collar, my hair's stuck, is closed in place, and now it fits to where I want it to fit to. And it acts like a cute little brooch. So all in all, I really do like the coat that I made. It is inspired from vintage fashion. Using a bunch of different reference images, I came up with the drawing for this. Now I am going to make this again, but I need to find some red fabric and some gold trim. I'm going to go for a circus ringmaster because they always usually wear red. I'm sure it could also work with the green. It's all about accessories, I guess. Now, if you made it to the end of this video, I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me while I made this. This is going to be the last overcoat sewing project that I'm doing for a little while. It is not winter yet. When you see this video, I believe it's going to be October 1st, so we are right in spooky season. So the remainder of this month is going to be videos of me putting different outfits and costumes together. I have an overall plan, but not yet an itinerary of what I'm going to be doing. So once I'm done editing this video and my pattern and putting everything up, I am going to definitely start with my itinerary for the month of October, which will include me posting one short every single day here on YouTube. Also, I'm going to be trying to post on Instagram more often. I don't have a reason. I just don't. So if you liked today's video, please give the video a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. If you're not already, consider subscribing. I post every Wednesday, and like I just said, for the entire month of October, I'm going to be doing one short every day of a new costume or, well, costume idea. If you have any suggestions for any costumes that you would like to see, or closet cosplays, as a lot of people call them, leave a comment down below, let me know, and I will do my best to try to figure out how to make something for your suggestion. Well, that is all that I have for today's video. Again, I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.